What is going on, everyone? Episode 69, under the 69, episode 69 of the Patio Slave podcast. No Greg Bergdorf in the house, but we do have Tony and Nate. What's up?
Yo, yo.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad, right? He's like, you got to bring me back on 69. Well, sorry, Greg, but we had him on, 64?
Yep, 5 episodes ago. We'll have him on again.
I mean, he's going to listen to this and be bummed.
I hope. I hope you're listening, Greg.
So if you are listening, you probably already follow us and subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. But if you don't do any of that, check us out at Patio Slave on Instagram, Twitter, patioslavepodcast@gmail.com for the email. Like, share, subscribe on Apple. Even though Apple, deletes episodes, I don't know. Maybe they're shadow banning us. Who knows? But anyway, if you can find us, go for it.
Yeah. Follow us, all that stuff. I'll give you some swag. I'll give you some Nate's nerdery. Come on. We need some people. We need
actually,
some
we're due for that.
We're actually doing pretty good. Yep. No, we're doing pretty good, though, to be honest. Another humble brag. I feel like we're climbing the charts.
I would agree. I think we do a really good job in those spaces. I mean, we put stuff out daily. Check us out on Twitter. We put stuff out there. Check us out on Instagram. We're putting out reels with different, nerdery collectible things that we have from our collection. So check us out on those spots and, hit us up. DM us. Throw out some of your nerdery. We love that stuff.
Speaking of we love that stuff, we were a guest on another pod, right?
We were.
Am I imagining things?
No, we were. It came out today. The Itch. The Itch rocks. They were gracious enough to ask us on to talk about Jimmy Eat World Bleed American turning 20 in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The Itchy and Scratchy show. No, just kidding. just the Itch. But yeah, they were cool to bring us on. And, when we were doing it, when we were on the air with them, I was thinking, like, this is similar to what it must feel like to be in a scene, coming up at the same time and kind of opening for each other and supporting each other. Because, we cross-promote with them quite a bit. And so when they asked us to come on, I was like, this is actually kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, this is a phenomenon. The whole podcast thing is a relatively new phenomenon, especially now. I mean, I know it started over a decade ago, but now it's really caught on a new fire, and all of us are following our passion. And, off air, we were talking about, man, we all kind of wish we had done it earlier, but the fact that we're executing on it now is very special. So props to those guys to share the love.
Aaron said something, too, that kind of on our I don't know if it hit the air or not yet because we haven't heard it yet, but we complement each other as shows. Like they do a couple different things than we do, and we do a couple different things than they do, but we're all kind of in the same vein. We all love music, and it's something that it's a through line for their friendship, Aaron, Casey, and Dan, and it's a through line for ours too. So it was cool to talk to people similar in age that do a lot of the same stuff and like a lot of the same stuff that we do, but like a lot of different stuff too, and hear their story behind how they became a podcast.
And if you're looking for that episode, the formal name of the podcast is the Itch Rock Podcast, and on socials they are Itch Rocks. At least on Twitter, it's at Itch Rocks. So if you're looking for it, you're gonna find it. So no excuses. And bonus, we're on, so everyone wins. But we had a good time with those guys, and I echo everything that you guys said in terms of a lot of parallels, but enough differences where there's something for everyone. And I think we hit it off with them. And I was going to give something away from the episode, but I'm going to save it. You got to go listen.
Yeah, go listen. Yeah.
You got to go listen.
Save it.
You know what's weird? And I got there's an elephant in the room. Anthony and I are in the same room for the first time since last summer when Nate was home.
Yes.
So who's the elephant?
So where's the elephant? Yeah.
Where's the elephant?
We're both in the backseat. Who the fuck is driving? But yeah, we're in the same room because my internet died. If you follow us on Twitter, you saw I posted that we had this gnarly thunderstorm roll through, and I got home and my modem was fried. So after trying to troubleshoot it for about a half an hour, I said, fuck this. And Twa was like, come down. So here I am. Yeah, we're in the same room, which is really, it's fun. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was like, I got a solution, and it's only 20 minutes away, so let's do this.
Yeah, good point. And it's actually very cool from my perspective, because I feel like it's very JRE, Joe Rogan experience, and I'm like Jamie, and you guys are the talent and the host, you know what I mean?
Nate, look that up for us.
Yeah, can you? I was going to say, now you got to Google shit for us. You're the new
bird's
seller.
eye view.
Yep. I'm excited. Nate's home in a couple of weeks too, so we'll do this hopefully all in person, the three of us again, like we did last summer. So that'll be fun too. But this is kind of a precursor to that, and it might sound a little different just because we maybe it'd be even cleaner because we're next to each other and we can kind of have some cues. But yeah, it's good to be back in person again. Nature's healing.
Yep. Bigger, longer, and uncut.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So we have a couple set list items for you. I think we'll probably combine them. There was some new music announcements the last couple of days that really piqued our interest. The first one being 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross working with Halsey, which I'm pumped. This could be really cool. I love Halsey randomly, which is it's one of those things that I just really I think her voice is great. I like her music. It's not something I typically gravitate towards, but when we talked about MGK last summer, when Tickets to My Downfall dropped, I was like, this would be great to hear, because she was on that, right? This would be great to hear Halsey do a whole record like this. But this is different but similar. Like she's gonna do something not in the norm for what a pop singer does. She's gonna work with 9 Inch Nails, so I'm sure it'll be a little darker. It'll be interesting to hear what they come up with. I'm sure you guys have thoughts too. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm interested. I wonder how that's going to work out in terms of production or just writing songs. Is she coming to them with a song, or are they coming to her with a song? Is it a full-on collab in Drink Real Time, or how does that play out? I'm very curious, because I know Trent's a very control freak in terms of how the music plays out. So if she's the talent and they're kind of like the rhythm section, I'm very curious how that's working behind the scenes.
Well, it's funny you say that, because she, to me, has always been an artist that is just, what you see is not really her. You know what I mean? Yeah. She's kind of a product of the machine. And actually, the MGK song, I feel like you got to see a little glimpse of a potential edge there. And maybe we're going to get that with this. And, Trent's one of those guys, like, he's not signing up for everything. So he must either be being paid well or sees something there that, is beyond the pop and polish. That's my conspiracy theory.
Oh, wow. Okay. The tease, but I mean the episode's probably named the conspiracy theory episode, so you may know what he's hinting at there.
But I will check this out, and it's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about it in Real Time Drink. It will probably have some features, and I don't know that. That's just another guess. Like I feel like if they're gonna do this, there's probably gonna be something as they're curating the songs, and it's like, you know what, this person has to be involved because they'll fill a gap in the song.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's a good prediction. I know that's the way Trent operates. He did with Teeth, right? I think he was trying to get a certain drum sound. He's like, you know what, I'm not getting it. I'm going to call Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
smart man.
calls his friends. Yep.
No, I think that's a good call. I think there will be more than just Halsey and 9 Inch Nails as they are currently constituted. We'll get all kinds of different people that want to work with both of those two. And I mean, the sky's the limit. And I think you mentioned this, Twan, a couple weeks ago or last week, I can't remember. And Ryan Sinnott mentioned it on our episode with him, that because of the pandemic, there have been people that are willing to change, what they are a little bit, or work with people that they maybe wouldn't have worked with before. And with the internet being so readily available for most people, excluding myself, it's great to see some genre bending going on, right?
Yeah, I've always loved it. I come from the beer industry, so collabs are very prevalent in the beer industry, and it's always been something that everyone really respects. It's kind of the definition of unity, and like, you're good at this, I'm good at that. Let's, combine our powers and put something out that's, tasty or, beautiful in terms of sound for music. So I'm all about it. I've always been all in. I think the collaboration is the coolest thing ever. Instead of competition, like, why don't we just collab and put something out that we both can be super proud of? So I think you might have made a giant prediction, Twan. Kind of want to put money on it.
We'll fact check it in a year or something, like we did with the Clutch live stream vinyl pressing that Tone called.
Oh yeah, we did. We called that, didn't we? Yep. Well, this will be cut up. It'll be put next to it happening. So good for us. I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back right now.
All right, let's take guesses. Will Trent vocally be on this record?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm gonna go no on this, I think.
I agree with Nate, but I want it to be a yes so bad.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a no. I think he'll just be the puppet master pulling the strings on the back end.
But I want to hear it. I definitely want to hear that. Hopefully they give us a one-off, maybe like from the recording session, maybe on the deluxe edition down the road or the vinyl for Record Store Day. We get like a 3-song EP of just the two of them. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, an album worth of B-sides, you mean?
Actually, did you call that, Nate?
The album worth of B-sides? Yeah.
Us nerds will buy it. I think you said.
Us nerds will definitely buy it. What was the other one we had? It was Aaron Dessner of The National, right? Who'd been working with Taylor Swift a lot last year. Bon Iver, Justin Vernon also working with Taylor Swift a little bit. They're putting out another album under the name Big Red Machine, which they've done before, I guess. I didn't know this until this week, with a lot of features, Fleet Foxes, Ace Mitchell, and Taylor Swift. So I'm, with what they did last year on Taylor's record, I'm excited to hear this. 2019 Tony probably is like, whatever. But 2021 Tony has evolved, and we'll listen to anything. So yeah, this intrigues me too. Probably not as much as the Halsey and Nine Inch Nails situation, but I'm definitely this is something I'll check out for sure.
Is 2021 Tony Pitchfork Tony?
He might be. Damn, become what you hate. I don't hate Pitchfork. I'm mostly kidding.
So I'm with you. I didn't know that they had an album before this. You sent a link and it had a clip, right? It had
yep.
Which was largely instrumental, or was it all in?
No, there was it was the song with Ace Mitchell. It's called, oh boy, I'll have to look it up.
But it was good. It was totally chill, and it fit a relaxing vibe kind of moment thing, which again, I'm mostly on the chaotic side when it comes to music, but there's a time and a place for everything. We talked about that pure noise lo-fi album. Like, I'm here for that too. So I'm all over the map, and I liked what I heard. And at the end of the day, like, when you get really these music brainiacs in a room, like, usually the product's pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, see Folklore, right?
Yeah. I mean,
exactly. No, that flipped my whole situation on its head in terms of Taylor Swift. I didn't dislike her music. I just never gave her the time of day. And now I'm a fan, Seems like they're keeping that legacy going with this, and they've done more than a few songs together, so that's obviously going to permeate between both their respective fan bases for Bon Iver and Taylor Swift. And if they continue that legacy, awesome. They really should just put out a full-on album, just them two, even at this point.
That'd be cool.
But
yeah,
I feel like they're best friends. Yeah. They should just get married.
Well, and Aaron from The National too. I mean, and we've talked about this before we get on. I don't think any of us are huge National fans, but I do like what he's doing with Taylor. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should go back and check that out, because I know Boxer was really big. It's older now, but it was a blind spot for me in the moment. Maybe maybe 2021 Tony likes that. Who knows?
Yeah, blind spot for me. I knew that album and maybe the one after that was big in the college radio scene, like massive, like people worshiped them, and even people that I know from heavier music scene are big into The National, which I don't know. Maybe like I said, we said on a previous episode, like maybe the joke's on me. Like 2021 Pitchfork Anthony might be into it.
Yeah, for me, they kind of passed. They passed me by a few times as well. But I have a good friend out here. Shout out to Ken. He's a huge National fan.
Hi Ken.
Hey Ken. And it's always nice
Ken
to
2012.
get.
Oh, is that his name?
Ken 2012. It's always nice to get something personally recommended, and I do check it out, Tone, just so you know. So it does
only
happen.
when Ken sends it to you.
Yeah, Nate has like an algorithm. Is your name if Ken?
Yeah.
Proceed with checking out. If Tony.
Yeah.
Revisit in 2 years.
Forget about it. I should have wrote it down, bro. I'm sorry. I love it. Also, I got to give you credit. Early on in the podcast days, I would interrupt you like I just did, and you would completely lose your train of thought. And now you're like on it, bro. Like you're just like, screw him. I'm going to plow through my point anyway. I love it.
Yeah, I get more clarity now. I don't know what it is. Training for a marathon. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm
okay.
more clear-headed.
I'm stoked for that. I cannot wait. Which one are you going to run, man? Do you know?
Yeah, it's a very gradual process. It's mainly just to challenge myself. I don't know. I'm not going to jump right into a marathon, but it's really just to train in the morning, work during the day, pod at night kind of thing, like you guys know I have so much time, so I figured,
yeah, you've got a lot of free time.
Yeah, what can I do in the morning?
So National Bon Iver collabo. I'm here for it.
Yeah, interesting stuff to check out.
So Nate, what are we going to talk for the main segment?
Yeah, this is something I brought to the table. I think everyone not everyone, but a lot of people kind of went down the rabbit hole during COVID with conspiracy theories, just because everyone had so much time. There was so much screen time being home all the time. And conspiracy theories, there's so many of them. Some are coming true, right? UFOs are officially real.
Yes.
According to the government.
Right.
So Tom DeLonge was not fucking around that whole time, which is very interesting. So it dawned on me that there must be a lot of conspiracy theories associated with the music industry, whether it's just completely random or something that's been highly publicized. And I figured we could kind of, bring some to the table and hash them out here on the podcast, because some are, the ones I brought are literally, just off the charts. Like no one's ever discussed any of these before that I know of. And we've discussed conspiracy theories a little bit in regards to Ticketmaster and the verified fan thing. So yeah, I wanted to kind of jump on here and chat about that for a little bit.
And I'll say these could be, as Nate said, bring your own conspiracy theories. And then they could be, I don't think any of us are going to bring well-known ones, but I brought one that's lesser known that ties to artists we've talked about, which I don't think you know about them. And that's kind of why I could have just positioned it as my own. And
You should have.
I should have. I just spilled the beans. But I do have one that's kind of my own brainchild, which is probably, well, no teasers. You got anything to add, Tom, before we get into this?
I struggle with this, not gonna lie. Full disclosure. Typically, I'm on it and have ideas for most of the things we come up with, but this is one I think I'm gonna have to react to in the moment and hope one hits me. But I'm sure I'll come up with something.
That's good though. it's good to not be a conspiracy theorist, because then you lose all your time. You have no time when you do all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. I'm fairly well adjusted, I would say. I'm not worried about. I'm not. Old man yells at cloud. I am. I'm not gonna bring Courtney Love was killed by Kurt Cobain. Like, don't worry, we're not doing that tonight. I'm not. Paul McCartney died in 1966. Not gonna do that one. Like, you're not gonna hear the same old tried and true crap that is out there has been out there for years. Stevie Wonder, he's not blind. Like, we won't do that stuff.
But those are all true. No.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder not being blind. I have seen video. Maybe it is true.
Now that we say Stevie Wonder, there is like a internet meme that when a photo is not available, people respond with "can't see shit." The Stevie Wonder meme.
Wow.
That was back in the E-Bombs World days.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh wow, E-Bombs World. I haven't heard that in a really long time. That's awesome.
All right, Nate, you brought this to the table. You're starting us off.
Okay, sounds good to me. Well, here's one that kind of popped in my head a few weeks ago when I was initially bringing this up to the group text, which is us three, kind of throwing down ideas or just.
That's not your group text with Ken?
Nope. Yeah. Ken's not as savvy, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, this one kind of just like light bulb moment. You know what I mean? I was just listening to music on the road and thought of this one. They were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing is a little controversial because there's a lot of artists, well-regarded artists, that have not made it in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it's a system where once you're in, you're able to vote for, all your favorite bands and kind of have a say in how that system works. Or is it? And that's kind of where I'm going with the whole conspiracy theory segment is how does that really work internally? We don't know because we're not part of it. We all know that the music industry is not the cleanest. I think we talked about it last episode. There's a lot of payola that happens. There's a lot of favoritism. There's lots of who do you know, what do you know kind of thing. And something that really just like dawned on me with the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing is Rage Against the Machine. Yep, they're not. We're mentioning it on this episode as always.
We did it, yes.
Drink.
Yes, drink. They were supposed to tour, right? Before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they didn't get in. And I thought, wow, how is that possible? Like, everyone respects this band. Everyone from every genre. I mean, I've seen tweets from Jimmy Page, like, him saying like it's one of the best concerts he's ever seen in his life. Like, it just seems very bizarre that they didn't make the cut. But they postponed their tour, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a business play. It's not on the band, but it's definitely on maybe management or whatever, as a conspiracy theory that if their tour got postponed to next year, are they going to get nominated again next year to coincide with the tour? And what I mean by this is, I'm going to compare this to like the Olympics or something. A lot of the times they'll spotlight an athlete, and that athlete ends up winning, whatever race or whatever. And it just seems very programmed. And that's the way I saw this. I'm like, oh, okay. They delayed this tour pretty far out. Like this tour, I think quite a few episodes ago, I was talking about how I was buying tickets to this upcoming tour. As soon as they didn't make it in, they were nominated, but they didn't quite make the cut. I was like, okay, this just seems too convenient that they're going to make it in maybe next year. And to tie it all together, that eventually when they do make it, it's going to be chaos. Zach De La Rocha is going to make the most iconic speech ever in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's just going to like light the place on fire. So it's almost like a half liability, half like this is going to sell more records, half like, let's put this all together. Let's package this all for 2022. It's just not quite ready for 2021 yet.
Okay.
Yeah, conspiracy.
So that...
I think Twan and I have the same thought.
Well, no, I mean, okay. So what you said about you don't know what the ingredients are to get into the Hall of Fame. Yep. It makes me think of like how much of it is on the artist and their management to lobby for it.
Yep.
Yes. Exactly.
And I don't think they give a fuck about it.
They don't care.
Is that that was your thought?
I don't think they care. I don't think. Finish your thought, and then I'll tell you what I think. But
no,
yeah,
I mean,
I don't think they care about that.
That's the gist of it. Like, I gotta believe, like, when you go apply for a job, like, half of it's your persistence and obviously your qualifications, but like, they're gonna know if you don't want the gig. You know what I mean? Like, they can see the hunger or whatever. I almost feel like that's it, where it's like, hey, we didn't get in. Like, it's almost like, all right, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thought.
That is part of my thought. The other part of my thought is, okay, so they were supposed to go on tour, and you're like saying it should link up with going on tour. Do you think that's for monetary gain, Nate?
Yes, definitely. Like what I'm saying is it's definitely not the band, but I think it's whoever pulls the strings behind it. Like,
okay,
hey, we didn't, like, as the band, we didn't make it. And they're probably, like you said, they don't care. Like, oh shit, even if we got it, we wouldn't even show up, kind of thing. But the management is working in tandem with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like, hey, let's put him in next year because like we'll be on tour at that point and it'll coincide great for the promotion leading up to these things.
That's just so not Rage Against the Machine.
As a band, for sure, but as the label, I mean, they were on Epic Records. You know what I mean?
Right, but I mean, okay, so they haven't put a new album out in 22 years, right? 99.
Wow.
Yeah. First of all, secondly, they go on tour, they're going to sell stuff out. Like, whether or not their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is knocking. You know what I mean? So this is why, and I'm not going to try to poke holes, but like, what I do think is it's beneficial for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to push them to next year. I don't think it has anything to do with the band or them moving units. Do you know what I mean? I think they're going to move units either way.
Yeah. And it ultimately still ties back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's the conspiracy theory, is still the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not necessarily, Rage Against the Machines, whatever they're under, Q Prime or whoever managed this then, and like them pulling the strings. It's more Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like, ooh, we should actually delay this because then it'll work together with their tour perfectly. So let's put this on the table for now.
I can see that on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame side. I do not see that on the band side at all. Or even definitely. The band's management. I think they would tell the management to fuck off.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I don't know. When money's involved, money talks.
Yeah, maybe not. That's
walks.
true. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, like, I'd love to say, yeah, they're going to go and Zach's going to give an amazing speech, but that hasn't been him over the years either. So
I know.
Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Tom Morello might. I could totally see him doing it, going and giving an amazing speech, because I mean he doesn't shy away from the spotlight. He's always been kind of present.
Oh, totally.
I mean, that's a great point, because the only time that Zach speaks is on stage, one, or two, early in the career. All those, like, early in his career, all those, like, iconic interviews he's so young. He's, like, fresh out of Inside Out, and it's really around the self-titled era. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Maybe he's I don't know, like it intrigues me, like what Zach we're gonna get at like Boston Calling. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I can pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could go multiple ways. So Zach De La Rocha inducted Patti Smith into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so he has been in that room before.
Interesting.
And that's a little off radar for him to even do that in the first place. He must have a huge admiration for Patti Smith. But to the point where I was thinking, like, if this happens, he's going to make an iconic speech, mainly because of the state of the world. You know what I mean? The amount of transparency and just utter chaos with, you know, the government, not only in this country, but on an international scale, and just so many things that are very obvious that we're seeing, like, okay, a lot of them tying to conspiracy theories, right? Or even things that Rage Against the Machine were talking about as a band in their heyday are kind of coming true now. I just feel like, okay, so if this happens, you know, conspiracy theory aside, and they actually do get inducted, I feel like if Zach does make a speech, he's just gonna go all out and say
He inducted Patti Smith?
Yeah.
I'm surprised that wasn't Bruce.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They might have both been there, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Bruce is there. I mean,
yeah.
Bruce doesn't shy away from it either.
No, but you're right with Tom. Tom would be the vocal one if not Zach, because I mean he has 3 shows on Sirius XM, and he's very active for sure.
I mean, the conspiracy in itself is what goes into the whole getting in is a conspiracy of itself. Maybe we'll do
Yep.
R&R Hall of Fame episode at some point.
We talked about it a little bit with the Itch. I don't know if it made it to the podcast, but I mean, they did a whole episode on it too. It's shady. It feels shady to me. I mean, if they were nominated this year, they should have gotten in. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, they're not one of the most influential, iconic hard rock or, you know, adjacent bands ever. They're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, who the fuck are you kidding?
Who is? Like, who's getting in? And
right.
You know what I mean? I would think they'd be first ballot. And
me too.
It kind of reminds me of the Grammys. Like, I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast for a while, and he was Grammy nominated, I think, for Pump It Up. So he would get a ballot because he was a nomination. And I think Greg Bergdorf, right? Greg?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, like, you're giving ballots to people that may or may not be even in tune with music anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm just curious what the formula is for the Hall of Fame. I assume it's a little more structured. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe.
I mean, it seems like it's not always on the pulse of what's going on.
Right.
You know? It's the, like, sometimes it's the Hall of Very Good. Sometimes it's not rock and roll at all. So who knows, man? I don't live in a world where Rage Against the Machine wouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We obviously, if you listen to us and you know, we've talked about them numerous times. They're one of our favorite bands collectively. They should be in, but you know, maybe there's something to the Rock Hall being like, let's push this to when they're on tour, so we can like make it a bigger deal for us. I could see that for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's mainly what I was saying. I was definitely not saying it was on the band. Maybe their management working behind the scenes with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to delay it for monetary gain reasons, but definitely not like Zach. If we delay this next year, we'll all make more money. I don't think he's like, oh yeah. I don't think he's like, let's do that. You know, I doubt that. Really doubt that. In fact, I would bet against that not being the case at all. Yeah, I mean, we could just do a conspiracy theory episode on just the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
as just that, right? Yeah, it's a very complicated issue. But yeah, that was the first one that came to mind. I know it's a little spread out, but it ultimately comes down to how do these things work, and how the hell, like you said, Tone, was Rage not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? It's like, if you compare it to like the Baseball Hall of Fame, it's like, well, Pete Rose didn't get in. We all know why. Rage Against the Machine didn't get in, but like, there's no reason to it. You know, did they really get outvoted by LL Cool J? Maybe. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on who was in that class, and I'd have to look at it. But man, I mean, you'd have to think it would likely be someone that maybe started around the same time. And I'm trying to think of. I'd have to look it up, but
well, they've been around for more than 25 years, right? They've been around for closer to 30,
right? Yeah,
and it's 25 years before you're eligible.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how many years now have they not gotten in? Like, that's weird too.
Good start, Nate. I got one.
That's good.
That's good. You guys excited? So I got one. I'm gonna give a caveat because the conspiracy theory, it's not overly positive, but it's also not a diss. It's more of an observation of what I perceive to be reality. And the other caveat here is I love this artist. I love it. Like he solo artist, has put out 3 albums. The first 2 are great. I mean, truly great for the genre. The third one kind of lost me a little bit. Any guesses on the artist within the last 5-6 years?
Give me another hint. 90s OG or?
Mid to late 2010s OG.
Shit.
I got nothing.
The artist is Post Malone.
Ooh, okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So Post gets a lot of shit, for whatever reason. I happen to gravitate to him. I do love his music. The last album, Hollywood's Bleeding, kind of lost me a little bit. But my conspiracy theory is this. He is an industry plant, and not in the typical plant like, hey, I'm a label, I'm looking for a certain type of artist. I'm going to groom them to be a rock star, no pun intended. I'm saying he is a industry plant on steroids, to the point that I don't even know what label he's on, but think of it like a movie where they had a whole movie written and they casted for a specific actor, like a specific role. My theory is that he literally applied for that. They wanted a young, talented, kind of bad boy with an edge. I think Stoney was written. I think he applied for it, and I think it just happened to work for everyone, because I don't think at surface level that you might kind of get that. But do you guys want to react to that, or I have like additional
I mean, I have
comments to support that theory.
I have a thought.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And it's just Justin Bieber pitched down, because there's that floating around the internet too, right? They do sound sort of the same.
Yep.
If you listen to some of Bieb's stuff. So, yeah, that's a good call. I mean, it does fit the narrative. It does fit the kind of mold of what an industry plant would look like. Right down to the genre of music that's as big as it has become. Hip hop ish, but with like a little bit of a rock edge, but not too much. It's not nu metal per se, but it's and with some R&B kind of mixed in. That's kind of what's hot right now, and it has been for the better part of a decade. So, and I'm with you. I love him. I love the music. It must be written for everybody, that type of thing, which also leads to it being industry plantish. So yeah, I agree. I think, and it's Bieber. Just pitch down.
Yeah.
So I'm not well versed in Post Malone, but one thing that I always associate with an industry plant is if there's no backlog of the upcoming. Like he didn't play any clubs, right? He didn't do any small rooms before he's like playing out these arenas and stuff.
So
or did he?
That's kind of one of my. I have 3 things I want to hit. Okay. Which kind of support this. But yeah, the first one is literally that, Nate. Like, he dropped White Iverson in 2015, and then Stoney comes out a year later, and it's ripe with features. 2 Chainz, yeah. Bieber, Kehlani, Quavo. Like, those songs were fucking written already. They had to have been. And to your point, Nate, he had one. Well, I can't say that definitively. I think he had some stuff on SoundCloud when he was in his late teens, and then I think when he was like 19, 20, White Iverson breaks through on YouTube. Actually, I think it was on SoundCloud, then YouTube. But no, he wasn't. I don't even know if he played out. He didn't play out in. I mean, he came through to Portland in 2016, 2017, supporting Fat Joe. But before that, was he selling out rooms? I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. There's not a ton of like Post Malone played, this tiny little 200 cap room across the country and those types of places. There's not a ton of that.
Like Lil Dicky, he did tour. Like he toured. It took a while, but that whole story's chronicled on Dave. But I don't know. He just came to mind. But sorry, Nate.
I thought of him too, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of both those points you made, and especially all the special guests on the album number 2. I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast today with Quentin Tarantino, and he's talking about movies that essentially books that he's writing that he turns into movies, and who he wants for those parts. To your point, where this is perfect for this guy and this guy and this guy. Well, there's another element to that. You have to have those people available to even be in the movie, and same thing with music. they might be tied up with a different contract. They may not even know who the guy is. It seems like that if everyone's lined up like that, like you have to have a big team, thrown some big money to secure talent to be on that record, because it's pretty complicated. You have multiple artists on an album with different labels. That means it's revenue share. Like gets super complicated. I remember, sorry to kind of go back and forth here, but Velvet Revolver, they had to drop the album on 2 different labels because of some of the guys were from GNR, some were from STP, right? So it's like a bidding war on who gets the first, who gets the second. So with all these special guests just lined up on album 2, like that's almost like the red flag right there, I think.
Yeah, and like if you kind of dig into his history, I don't know if he was in the band or he tried out for I think they're like kind of a metalcore adjacent band, Crown the Empire. Like he was a guitar player, and obviously he can sing. Like that's, and this isn't meant to be a diss, because I'll be honest with you, if this is true, he's the perfect character for the role. Like he nails it. And there's not many artists in that world that I would wait till midnight on release night to listen to, and he's one of them. So it's not meant to be a diss. It's just like there's just something about this. And the other, actually, we touched upon the two of the 3 things I wanted to bring up. One was just the fact that the first full length dropped so quick after he came out. 2 was the fact that it's ripe with features. But 3 is, I remember catching this like the first time I listened to that first Stoney album, is near the end of the album, he goes, it's like a little interlude. He goes, "Time for a Bud Light break." And it's most blatant product placement in the world. Like who's fucking promoting, unless you're paid, like who's promoting Bud Light?
And he's rapped about it a couple times in other spots too since, like Bud Light in my piss, stuff like that. Yeah. It fits, and I hadn't thought of it that way, and now I'm like, damn, was I just being sold to this whole time?
You're drinking Bud Light there.
I'm not. I am. You're right. Holy shit, I'm drinking a Bud Light Lime. Wow.
Oh man.
You win, nerd voyance.
But like, I mean, it's in especially hip hop and rap, it's chronicled of all the references like Prada, or you can Google it. How many times has Gucci been whatever? But this is one like that's a little left to center, that there's obviously payola involved, and I don't think he chose that beer. I just don't. I don't know. Conspiracy tinfoil hat. I just don't see it.
I like that.
Where is he from?
Texas.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
he's a big Cowboys fan. He raps with the Cowboys. I mean, and that's another thing. Are they in cahoots with the NFL to sell Cowboys gear? America's team. Holy shit, man! We blew the top off this thing.
Well, it's funny you say the Bud Light thing, because that was actually where I was going to go if you didn't mention it. That's where I know, sad but true. That's where I know Post Malone, kind of in my face all the time, is through Bud Light. The commercials and the advertisement and the product placement is just so consistent. I'm like, man, like Bud Light was like a failing macro beer company in terms of like the younger audience for a very long time. Like people were going craft, or they were going, if any kind of macro, they would go maybe Miller. This is speaking pretty general and subjective, because I don't really like Bud Light, but the movement in terms of young generations picking up beer, well, now it's like not even beer, right? Now it's like seltzer, but was definitely not Bud Light. So when I saw him sporting Bud Light, I'm like, this guy is definitely getting paid, because their stock's going down. They need someone to pump it up. So I could vouch for that all day, just because it doesn't add up, doesn't make sense. Like maybe something that people are like, something that's actually trending, White Claw being the number one right now, So, but yeah, if it's in the songs too, that's just ridiculous.
So are you saying that there's another semi hip hop / R&B artist being made in the lab right now that's gonna love White Claw and rap about White Claw, Nate?
Not even White Claw. The next thing after White Claw. That's the way it should be done. It should be something that's new and up and coming. Bud Light's a legacy brand, right?
Well, that's the reason it was Bud Light, because they were like as you said, that people were going craft. The younger generation's not really drinking it, but I mean, if you've got some money to spend and you want to get your name in songs that are going to get spun everywhere for a long time, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And the reality is, like, you can't discount the impact that something like that has. And I actually don't even know who it was. There was a soccer player recently that on his press conference, he had, I think it was Coca-Cola. He took the can or bottle off the counter and the stock dropped. I don't know. not a lot of details there, but I remember seeing the headline like, damn, that's crazy.
Well, you hear that stuff like that all the time with product placement or with mentions by somebody huge, like even Taylor Swift. Like she just says something and the stock price goes through the roof for a day or half a day, depending on what the product is. That happens all the time with big names, and we're probably being sold to that way more than we think we are. And I know we're all like way more hypersensitive to it today than we were 15 years ago, but that's definitely happening, and more subtly than we can think of at times, I'm sure. And this might be one of those situations where it was through music that I liked. I'm like, shit, man. I heard a Post Malone song at dinner tonight, too, and I ended up buying Bud Light. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, man.
I'm not in control.
So we don't talk a lot about that scene, but I don't know. Real recognizes real, I guess, and I do love Post Malone. I mean, I've seen him live. I saw him when I was in Australia. I went out of my way to see him.
Go check episode 8 for that story. Yeah, I think we talked about that.
I think we did. Yeah.
Or was that Eminem? I can't remember. It might have been both.
Oh, it was Eminem. Yeah, that's right. So do we want to jump to Nate or Tone? Do you have one?
Nate, you got one?
Yeah. No, keep it going. Keep it going. Because eventually I think you're going to come up with something. But here is another reel back to someone we were talking about earlier. I think we've talked about this a little bit, just us three, but I've been thinking about it nonstop because I can't let it go. It just almost kind of bugs me, to be honest. Is Taylor Swift and her autographed CDs that you're seeing in record stores. Anyone that visits record stores, you might see that it's kind of a limited item, limited quantity. You're lucky if you get one. There's a record store here in Encinitas that has them right at the register. It's one per customer kind of thing. And I've almost bought one a few times because I collect autographs. But the reason I don't is because unless I get the autograph firsthand, I'm always a little weary that it's a fake. But this is coming from the label. So the conspiracy is essentially this. A, the record's sealed. So she's signing the CDs and then they're sealing them. I guess that's possible. And it's just shrink wrap. It's not that hard. But the main conspiracy theory is the fact that someone that big, someone that wealthy isn't signing all these CDs. I mean, you go to a meet and greet and eventually you get to the, 80th, 800th person in line. Like, the artist is not pumped to be signing CDs. It's very much a task. You get probably carpal tunnel doing it after a while, So my whole theory is, A, she's not signing these CDs at all. B, this is just another way to get more record sales. And C, the cost of goods or COGS on CDs and the product itself is just such a secondary thought at this point that they're just essentially utilizing the cheap cost of goods and pumping out product for, it was already so cheap to make a CD in the first place. Now it's probably fractions of a penny. And when I talked to my guy here at the record store, he's like, are these selling? They still have a few. Every other record store I go to, they're always sold out. He's like, yeah, they buy the CD, the vinyl, and they also download it. So it's a 3 multiplier on that album. And so it's just like a compounding money. But out of all places, out of all people, Taylor Swift. So the main conspiracy theory is pretty simple. It's she's not signing these fucking CDs.
I think you might be right there, honestly, because you're right. They're everywhere. I've seen them here. My wife bought me Evermore signed when she was in Burlington, Vermont a couple weeks back because she knew I was a fan and saw it was signed and thought that was cool. And it's something that I would never have picked up otherwise, or she would never have picked up for me otherwise. Because,
there you go.
Yeah, so you're right, Nate. That's the reason that people are grabbing it off the shelf.
So do we know how many signed copies are out there? Because that would be the tip-off for me. Mm-hmm. Do we know?
That's a good one. I don't actually know the specifics on that.
I thought you were going to look that up for us, Nate. I'll look it up.
I don't know the specifics on that, mainly because it keeps changing. Because every time my local record store, they get a batch, they talk about it on Instagram, it sells out. Then they get a new batch, sells out. They get a new batch. So it's almost like, unless she's like literally getting pallets of CDs sent to her mansion, and she's out there like literally till 7 a.m. just signing CDs nonstop. Okay, next shipment. Yeah, right. Someone making that kind of money, that's like, they're just trying to make her albums go diamond, is what it ultimately comes down to. There's no more diamond selling albums anymore. CDs are cheap, kind of like vinyl. The plants are probably going to close. It's probably like the last straw. It's like, hey, like, we will take Taylor Swift, pay us under cost of doing business, like whatever. Well, we just need to get rid of these jewel cases at this point.
Yeah, right. This is all a grand conspiracy to get rid of jewel cases. I think you're right, though. The Diamond album thing is a great call because she's somebody that just wants to be in the news, and for good reason. Streams are up when that happens, money in her pocket when that happens. So for her to be selling CDs that otherwise wouldn't be sold to further get towards a diamond selling record, or even platinum at this point, because that doesn't happen a lot anymore.
Right.
It would be massive. Like, oh, Taylor Swift's the first, Folklore's the first album to go platinum in such and such years. Like that would make news. And again, oh, I should go listen to Taylor Swift. Like the same thing's going to happen. It's just this snake eating its tail situation. Man, I think that's a great call. That's a good one. And it actually spawned one in my head, so I'm kind of excited.
Oh, perfect.
So I was thinking in my head what the cutoff would be for her to legitimately sign them. In someone who's in that demand, honestly, the number's low. Like, if there's more than 1,000 of these out there, I don't think she's signing them. And I know, like, to kind of adjacent nerdery here, to bring in, like, sports cards, there's on-card autos, which is rare. But then what they do is they have stickers that they have athletes sign. And you'll notice a lot of them, the artists are signing off of the sticker. Mm-hmm. So if you can get the autograph that's completely contained in the sticker, it's like rare, quote unquote, because they're just literally just putting the Sharpie, blah, 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 next one, blah, blah, next one. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know, like, we could probably honestly dissect the autograph to see if you're signing, think about actually sitting in front of 1,000 CDs and signing those. Your arm would be dead. So I don't think she's signing them. There's no way.
There's no way.
She did put out a statement saying some of these might have cat hair on them, like from her cats, which is total bullshit.
Total bullshit.
What, you sign them in your house? Like,
right. That's not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, how long would it take you to do one? 10 seconds?
Yeah, but if you're doing, these are all over the world, right? So it would take forever.
Yeah, they're all over the world. They keep re-upping every time my local record store. It's like it's not really a limited thing because they just keep coming in. It's Sharpie on the booklet, so it is a real signature. But yeah, it literally makes no sense. On top of the fact, the unit price, it's not even high premium. It's like $12.99, like a CD.
Right. Yeah, and these started popping up last August too. So for them to not have an exclusivity and number is odd to me. Like one of 2,000. Like, because that's what happens with a lot of this stuff nowadays. Is I got one of 25, I got one of 50, one of 100, whatever, one of 2,500. Like, that makes sense, and it becomes, maybe you sell it for a couple more dollars. But I think this lends credence to Nate's, I want this album to go platinum or diamond, so let's sign in quotation marks as many as we can, get them on the shelves, and people like, my wife grabbed one for me because she thinks she's doing good,
And she might have signed some, but not all of them. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no certificate of authenticity, and even those are faked all the time, so it's pretty shady. But the fact that my local guy here told me that, like, people just buy it as a, something to pair with the album. Like, they buy it on vinyl, they buy that too, and they download it. So, one customer, you have 3 records sold. To multiply that by millions and millions of fans, I mean, it's just like the album really will probably go diamond at that point. But it's a cheat code, right? It's not real.
Who is your guy at the record store? You could say his name.
Lou at Lou's Records.
Oh, Lou, nice. Yeah, Lou's Records, yes.
Your guy. Everyone's got a guy.
Yeah, we've all got a guy at the record store. Come on. I mean, we do here at the Patio Slip podcast. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, so big conspiracy. I'm very curious. I'd almost want to do like a full-on investigation because people are just getting ripped off right now, big time.
I mean, yeah. Yes and no. It's not like they're paying, hundreds of dollars for them. They're paying $12 for the CD. They're paying $12 for the CD if the booklet happens to be signed, again in quotation marks. Good, I guess. And maybe it's worth some money down the road. Who knows?
I don't know. I think as an autographed collector, it just diminishes the whole hobby. It's like, oh, an autograph doesn't have to be real anymore. It's just her name in Sharpie and anyone can write it. Like, that's not an autograph. What is that? I don't know. It's her name written on a secondary.
Yeah, well, I know, like,
This is bullshit.
For some like autographs, it's like a stamp. You know what I mean? They'll get the autograph,
Yeah.
they'll stamp it, and then that's just, and it's like at that point, who cares? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not special.
No.
So did you come up with one, Tom?
I do. I have one. And it's similar but different. So Record Store Day, we're all fans of Record Store Day. We go to Record Store Day. We look forward to when the list comes out every spring and fall for either Record Store Day in the spring or the Black Friday version of it, which was clearly a cash grab. I think, and I have no proof, this is just me spitballing, that when we see those lists and they put like one or two of those big band names on there and they're like one of 500, or there's 500 prints of this, 500 pressings of this record, I think that there are ones in there that don't exist to get people to go to the store. What do you think about that?
I'm trying to unpack this in my head. So like arbitrarily here, Bruce Springsteen live at MSG, one of this 500 out there. You're saying that they're just headline names to get people to go out that don't exist.
Like, I'm excited for the Bruce one. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for Rolling Stones, whatever. This live show from The Doors. And then you get there, and that Bruce one's just not there. Like, oh, well, I guess I wasn't here early enough. Or you stood in line and the record store you went to didn't have it, which has happened to me before. Maybe they just don't exist, and they're just hype bringers.
I feel like that would come out on IG. You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe.
here's a kind of piggyback to that.
Yes.
So say Bruce live at MSG or Asbury Park, whatever, 500. There ain't 500 of those. There's fucking 5,000. There's 10,000 of those.
That could be
so
too.
you think you're special.
Yep.
Yeah, there's multiple ways this could go. The 10,000 thing, or even just the unlimited limited thing. I mean, Tool Lateralis on wax, on vinyl, that is a limited sticker on it, but it's definitely not limited because it's been around forever and they
Right.
keep pressing it.
Right.
So limited to what? I guess if you don't actually put a number on it, you're not necessarily lying. It's like the gray area there. But to your point, Tone, yeah, I mean, maybe that's just a way to get people to the store, right? You advertise like, oh, you're already here. At this point, I guess I might as well spend some money. So,
Or, okay, I'll take it one step further. Maybe to beef the list up, we get band names or bands in there that we've never heard of. Like, we joked, we have an Instagram thread too, just because we're always sending stuff back and forth that's pod related. And the Hard Times put their festival announcement out yesterday, and I looked at it and I was like, I don't know any of these. And then I looked at the dates and I was like, this has got to be a troll. It's Thanksgiving. And sure enough, I like went to the link, and they were like, oh, this band's putting out 25 years of wet cement. I'm like, this is so bullshit. This is such a troll. And the whole comment section was, I don't know any of these bands. This is bullshit. Like, who are these people? I was like, it's the Hard Times, guys. You got to know this is coming. So maybe, a la that, we've got a couple of names to beef up the list that just don't exist. And there's like, oh, one of 2,500 copies, but no one's heard of this band. They're not even real.
Well, it's like I don't know. Is it Kimmel or one of the late night hosts does the man on the street, and they'll like say stuff that's not real to get people, and like people like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. That whole thing.
Yeah, I think Record Store Day started as a wholesome get back out to the record stores, buy something, see something cool, get stuff pressed that maybe hadn't seen the light of day in a long time, and it's clearly become capitalist. It's kind of like our festival episode not too long back. Nate said go early. Go to one of the first couple of years because they're trying to figure everything out. And then, 10 years in, they're corporatized. That's exactly what's happened at Record Store Day.
yeah, totally. To the point where this last one was, I think they had like 8 sponsors, like presented by like Tito's Vodka and all these like brands that have nothing to do with music.
Yeah,
So
like, fuck off.
Fuck off.
And all of that being said, I'm gonna go when the July drop happens. Like I still want stuff. I bought stuff this last time. I'll buy stuff at the next one. There's stuff that I'm always in search of, and if I can get my hands on it, yeah, I'm in. But I definitely think it's this is one of those situations where there's some hype built around it just to get people into the door, and maybe stuff doesn't exist or is never gonna come to your place anyway.
I think that's a good one actually. We'll have to
Ask your boy Luz.
Yeah. Well, he does give me some insight, and some of that insight is the fact that I ask him for certain records all the time, if we're talking about it on the podcast, or we talked about them and I want to get it for promotion or something, and he's like, oh, well, let me look it up. he's like, oh, that's been on back order for 2 years or
That's
whatever. He
kinda
has
cool. Yeah.
all these real-time stats on how long it's going to take to get the record, if it's ever going to come at all. And he's like, yeah, to be honest, he said, I've been in this industry for a while, and the resurgence of vinyl is so strong that even someone like the Beatles is having a hard time getting vinyl pressed. There's just such a backlog and such a demand. And a lot of these record plants, when on the downslope, actually closed up and demolished and threw out all their equipment. So they can't even like start over because the equipment isn't even being manufactured anymore. So the ones that are still going are like one in a few, with the exception of Jack White's thing. So
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty touchy, the whole vinyl thing.
Well, it's like Deftones put out that digital bath picture disc, which is supposedly limited to 8,000. And at our local store, when I went, I mean, they were flush with them, flush. So I'm thinking to myself, well, how many independent record stores are there? How many outlets have this? And it's like, I swear the math wasn't adding up. Like I was like, there's more than 8,000 of these things out there.
I think you can still get that today too, and it's been a couple of weeks since that came out.
Yeah, unless the stamp's on there, like those. I think we were talking about the Incubus vinyls that I picked up. Like there is like a one of 700 or whatever on there, so that's kind of nice. Whether even
there's
that's
not
real.
with this one.
Yeah, so I mean, all sorts of shady stuff going on.
You can still get that at all but 2 Bull Moose stores. One of them's not even open, so.
Oh man.
So that was mine, yeah.
All right, so I got another one here. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, so this is not one that I came up with. I can't say it's my own brainchild. It's one that I remember hearing rumblings of years ago, and then honestly forgot about this artist for a while, which is ironic because I've seen them twice. And the artist is Andrew WK.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Do you guys know where I'm going with this?
I might, yes, I might.
So this is kind of a 2-for-1 special here. All right, the first one is there's a conspiracy out there that Andrew WK is not one person. Andrew WK does not exist. Andrew WK is a character that people have fulfilled throughout the course of mankind. So that's the first one.
Or like the last 20 years.
The last 20 years. The second
Andrew
one,
WK with the dinosaurs. Sorry.
the second one ties with a house band, which I feel like we can have some fun with. This is the conspiracy. Andrew WK is the brainchild of Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl apparently wanted to create the perfect rock star. So he in his head concocted what ended up being Andrew WK. So Andrew WK was the output. In fact, if you look at the credits of, I guess, the first couple Andrew WK albums, the executive producer, and I'm going to laugh even saying this, the executive producer is a guy named Steve Mike. And Steve is spelled Steev. Steve Mike.
Oh wow.
And in scouring the internet for this episode, no one knows who Steve Mike is.
He's Dave Grohl.
So the speculation is this is fucking Dave Grohl. It's an alias that he used to put Andrew WK out into the world. Because you remember, I mean, we all remember this. Andrew WK came out in the MTV era, and it was straight to MTV. It was Party Hard.
Yep.
No one knew. I mean, talk about industry plan. This guy is.
That song is a banger, though.
It is a banger. I get wet.
Yeah, and the cover was like he had a bloody nose.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna pause there.
Yep. I got thoughts.
Have you guys heard of this stuff? Like
a little bit of the Dave Grohl stuff, yeah. But not. I mean, not. I'm not super versed in it, but yeah, I in searching for some stuff today, this one was one that passed my radar, and I thought to myself, if Dave Grohl wants to make the perfect rock star, Andrew WK ain't it. I mean, he was a cool novelty, right?
That's it. You nailed it.
And am I going to buy 7 records from Andrew WK? No. But, in the moment, I'm like, yeah, Party Hard School, it's a banger. I actually might listen to that on my way home tonight just because it's been so long since I've heard it. But yeah, not the perfect rock star. Sorry, Dave. I mean, he's more the perfect rock star.
I know. I thought that's where you were going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's Dave Grohl, but at the same time, though, right? It doesn't have to be, quintessential. It's just another project. It's like another Probot. It's another, them Crooked Vultures.
Fucking Probot, man. They get too much run.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a good conspiracy. I'll have to think on this one for a while.
So
Don't think too long, Nate.
Well, I'm trying to think of this producer. It's a fake name, you think?
Steve Mike. How is Mike
Yeah.
spelled? M-I-C?
no, M-I-K-E.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never trust a man with two first names, especially when the first one's spelled wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not Grohl, it's probably someone that's not the Steve Mike guy. But like, I've seen him twice. I saw him. Actually, Nate, you might have. He was at one of the Warped Tours. Andrew WK. He was main stage. I think it was that 2004, the 10-year one, and.
Okay. Yep.
In true Andrew WK fashion, there was something funky on stage that I'd never seen before up to that point. Do you guys have any ideas what was going on stage?
No.
Do you know, Nate?
It was this was at Warped Tour 04?
Yeah. It was either 04 or 05, but it was main stage Warped Tour where I witnessed this.
Shit. I don't remember what I want to say. Is it something with like an animal? Or something? No. Okay.
Hopefully not.
No, that was a Steve-O Jackass thing.
Ozzy Osbourne.
No, it was two full drummers, 2 full drum sets. He had 2 full drummers that were drumming in unison. I'm like, all right.
Dave Grohl written all over it.
I know, right? There we go. Conspiracy confirmed. And then I saw him again in 2006, 2007 at, I don't know, Harper's Ferry or something in Massachusetts. And one of our previous guests, Matty Arsenal, his band, A Loss for Words, and the band Therefore I Am opened. And I will say, I'm doubling down on this conspiracy theory. Andrew WK was like the last one to come out. Like his band was out. Like he was like kind of hidden. So if it came out later that it actually wasn't him and it was an imposter, I would have believed. I would totally believe it.
Oh,
yep.
man.
And I don't know. Google his like pictures over the years. Like there's some funkiness going on there. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I might believe this one. Both.
Why?
of them.
Because his face is always covered or something, right? I mean, I know the blood on the first one, but
No, just that it almost looks like a different guy.
oh, okay, a double.
Yeah. Andrew double take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man, this is Andrew W.Y. What the hell happened to Andrew W.K.?
Total, at minimum, industry plant to the nth degree.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I don't know his story, but like he had, we talked about it with the Itch, like a Rage TV. There was a segment on MTV Rage TV. I think there was Andrew TV. Like there was a whole segment. Like, who the fuck is this guy and why? Like, why is he getting the shine? But I went to see him twice, so joke's on me. We get any more? Maybe wrap one up.
Well, I wanted to bring the one that kind of spawned this whole segment together, just to kind of revisit it one more time, and it's the Ticketmaster fiasco with Verified Fan, because I keep looking for tickets for upcoming shows, and I'm starting to see that ticket prices are starting to fluctuate. And these ticket prices, they don't fluctuate on an individual basis like a Verified Fan. Like, you know what, I'm going to give someone a break and charge face value. They all kind of come down together and go up and down. Obviously based on supply and demand, right?
Yep.
And the more I investigate the Ticketmaster app, I start to realize different things. So lately I've been buying tickets for certain things, or at least looking at tickets, and they're very much like any search engine, really, like Google, right? You know, do you still want these? We saw that you were looking at these.
Yep.
Or like advertisements start popping up like, hey, you know, this is something it looked like you were interested in. So these features are starting to pop up now on top of the supply and demand fluctuation in ticket prices in unison, like literally like everyone's marking it down by $10, which doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at all. And I kind of equate it to the Robinhood app, where they're literally just watching you and they're selling your data. And they're like, this many people are thinking about buying this ticket, but they're not pulling the trigger. So, you know, in 72 hours, let's lower the price another $15 and just see if people start buying. If not, we'll collectively lower the ticket even more. If there's high demand, Verified Fan tickets, like $1,500 for this ticket. Yeah, right. You know, so I think what Ticketmaster is ultimately doing is just taking advantage of the situation and kind of reel it back to the whole conspiracy thing. With big business, everyone knows that, you know, tying it back to the pandemic, they all call it the plandemic, right? Because people on the top in big business have kind of had the heads up before this all happened and were planning accordingly. And this kind of fits into that, just because they've used all this downtime to put new infrastructure into their whole system and roll out this new Ticketmaster app, the verified thing, whether it's real or not. We all kind of know that it's not. And just going above and beyond in terms of capacity for the said shows. Now virtual. Now you get a virtual ticket on top of the capacity. So like they're tripling their capacity numbers in venue. So yeah, just to reel it back to Ticketmaster, they're the ultimate conspiracy theory because everything they're doing is just shady, but also very obvious if you're paying attention. And if you're on the app, you'll start to see these things I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, if the in unison thing is real, like if that's not just like a conspiracy of its own, if that's real, then yeah, it's. I think that exposes it, and I think you'd have to be a real nerd to pick that up, which I think you are, Nate. So kudos to you. But like, I think for me, what this highlights is like data is king, which we all know. But all these companies have you in segments. It's like, who's on the cusp of buying, who's just browsing, who do we need to put the full court press on? And once they know that, like, how long have you been, they know how long you've been looking at those Limp Bizkit tickets at the NH Pavilion or whatever. Like, it's crazy. And like, once they know what your like propensity to spend is too, like, ooh, all bets are off. Like, they'll know that, hey, if I can get a ticket for $49, I'm going to go see Durst. Like, that's scary.
Or like they know your spending habits.
Yeah.
Okay, this person, if it's a band they've said they've liked or band they've paid for tickets for in the past, let's make sure they get that pre-sale email.
Oh, yeah.
That type of thing. Or let's hit them, hey, tickets go on sale at 10 a.m., 2 hours before. And then again at 10 a.m. You get they're on sale now. Like, why aren't you buying them yet? So, yeah, Ticketmaster, among others, it's not just them, but they've been gaming that system for a very long time. And bringing it back to this, Nate, it's what we started talking about a couple episodes back, probably 7 or 8 episodes back. This is totally what's happening. They own all those verified seats that were bought, put on their marketplace, and then able to fluctuate prices. Like, the price was set. It was $49.99 or whatever, $49 even, and now we own it. We bought it, sold it back to ourselves, putting it on for, these seats are the good ones. They're $1,700. These seats are the bad ones. They're $300, as they did with Post MGK, right? So it makes me sick, especially when it's something that like you never had a chance to buy a ticket for to begin with. That's why when stuff goes on sale, at least around here, I'm just snapping them up early so that I'm paying, face for them for the most part, and then all the garbage fees online.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's not even really many options to buy tickets in person anymore. You go to the venue and they're like, no, online sales only. And you're like, oh, great, because I'm already locked down at this point, Another thing is once you do buy tickets, I don't know if this has happened to you guys recently on Ticketmaster/Live Nation, but you'll buy the ticket, you'll get the confirmation, great. And then you'll get like a 15-step process before you can click out. At least this is what happened to me recently, where it's like, hey, sign up for, a year for SiriusXM. Hey, you get Freshly for a year. Hey, you get this. And you're like, I just want to fucking get out. Like, I don't want any of this shit.
Well, they're trying to catch you slipping though. And you think you're opting out, but you signed up for it.
Yeah, just because you clicked it. Yeah, just that impression.
I mean,
sends that signal
I got
to the
3 months
company.
of Sirius for free and took it. And I know when the date is, and I will cancel it. But not a lot of people will. They'll be like, "Oh shit, they charged me. They got my $15." And even if that happens, a couple hundred times, maybe even more than that. Or you forget about it. You're somebody that doesn't pay much attention to it, has the money to forget about it. Holy shit.
Yeah, a lot of people forget. And just to compare it to another platform, another company, really the only other major company in the industry is ASX. They own a venue here in San Diego, an arena, and it's so old school. You can tell they're behind the times, but it's kind of nice because it reminds me of like the old days where you choose your seats. You go on the website, it shows you all the sections that still have tickets, and then you can zero in or zoom into that section and actually pick your seats for face value or, somewhat face value. But that's just like unheard of now because Ticketmaster just puts you in a generic section and like hopefully you get in or hopefully you don't get locked out. This literally you can choose your seats. So that's, I think, specific to ASX and maybe any other independent ticket agency or ticket provider. But I thought that it was kind of cool that, there are other options. They just don't own the venues or have
right
anywhere close to the capacity. But
right. Yeah, bashing Ticketmaster. We like to do that here.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're just calling them on their bullshit, and they've been called on their bullshit before. So I'm sure, 15 years from now they'll owe us all money again because they did something they shouldn't have.
Well, and they didn't even pay out that money.
They never really did. Yeah. Yep.
Like I remember applying the vouchers, and they limited, I think, how many you could use.
2 per.
Yeah, so $4. Like
It cut out one of the service charges.
yeah.
Yep.
And now, if you go into the portal, you can't even enter those in or find out where your vouchers are.
They're gone. They died in 2020.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's gone. And then the free shows were all out of state. It's like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And the seats that were available were usually lawn, right? Nosebleeds.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Comp seats, basically.
Yeah, we ain't selling these, so fill the room, please. So the artist comes back. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good idea, Nate. In fact, I think we should do round 2 down the road when we
Totally.
Yep.
could dig into this a little more. But I think we scratched the surface pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the rabbit hole on conspiracy theories associated with music is can go on for quite a while. We could be like the new Reddit of conspiracy theories for music. That's
Yes.
what it is.
So if you do have some conspiracy theories that you've been kind of concocting in your brain, throw them our way. Hey, maybe we'll react to them on the next time we do this.
Hell yeah.
So I think we'll wrap it there, gentlemen. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good spot. Hit us on the socials. Hit us on Gmail if you got something. Patio Slave on the socials. Patio Slave Podcast on the Gmail. And, tell a friend, man. Or anybody that's listening. Tell somebody that you know that likes music. If you like listening to us, that they may like checking it out too. We've always got something kind of different, I hope, for you to listen to. Whether it be our takes on what's going on in the music world or stuff like this, where we've kind of come up with some random nerdery in our own heads, and we want to spill the beans to you guys. So yeah, tell a friend.
Yeah. And raise your hand if you hate Ticketmaster.
Yeah, right.
Cheers, everyone.
See you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Peace, potheads.
Peace.